something that you're, I think, probably the most passionate about right now. You just recently did a co-write, Climate Crisis and the Global Green New Deal, with Robert Pollin. And I don't even know how to approach this subject anymore, because I feel like climate denialism is growing. Like it was an intentional strategy. I feel like, the average individual feels too small, to do anything to help, which is probably incorrect, but that's the feeling that's out there. How hopeful are you, given policies, governmental policies worldwide, that the environment that we can somehow turn this boat around?
We know how to turn it around. The book that you just mentioned includes the most important part of the book by far is my co-author, Robert Pollin's contributions. He's done extensive work, not just theoretical, but work on the ground in places like Ohio, West Virginia, and others, working out detailed, explicit programs which are perfectly feasible, can be done within a couple of percentage of gross domestic product, which would not only get a handle on this growing cataclysm, but also create a much better world with better jobs, better lifestyles, more livable societies. All can be done. The methods are there, and individuals can do a great deal about it. In fact, that's where the pressure is going to have to come from people. So take a couple of dozen young people in the Sunrise Movement in the United States, group of young activists who've, one of the many groups that have been pushing very hard for this. They got to the point of occupying congressional offices, including Nancy Pelosi's office, Speaker of the House. Ordinarily, they would have just been kicked out by the Capitol Police. Not this time. They got some support from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, one of the young representatives who came in on the Sanders wave, which was again pushed by individual activists. She supported them, got the support of Ed Markey, senior senator from Massachusetts, been involved in environmental issues most of his life. The two of them got together. They about a week ago, they introduced legislation into Congress which could solve the problem. It's a very detailed program, pretty similar to Bob Pollin's. Jeff Sachs at Columbia, economists, come out with similar programs. The international institutions have come out with very similar programs. We basically know what to do. So now the legislation's in Congress, thanks in substantial part to a group of young people who themselves were riding a wave of activism of a great many people, most of them young. Now that's where the pressure is coming from. Now, talk about collusion in the media. How much have you read about this? This is the major legislation which could save not only the United States, but the world from total cataclysm. If we don't do something like that, maybe it's hard to get a grip on, but if we go a couple more decades without instituting programs like that, we're going to reach a point where the Earth is going to heat to maybe 3 to 4 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels. At that point, human life is barely possible. There'll be enormous sea level rise, massive destruction all over, hundreds of millions of people fleeing, much of the livable world uninhabitable. This is indescribable, and we know how to solve it. So saying, well, I'm too small, I can't do anything, is saying, let's say goodbye to each other. Let's say to our grandchildren, sorry, I'm going to destroy you. You can take that position. We don't have to. There are things that could be done. No question like this has ever arisen in human history apart from the parallel, equal and parallel problem of nuclear weapons and the growing threat of nuclear weapons. You hear almost nothing about it. If you like, it's a kind of collusion. Keep to what's within the Beltway, where they deny it, okay? Or don't talk about it. That's a possible choice. So so the Amazon is switching from one of the world's major carbon sinks to a major carbon emitter. That's permanent. You can't change that for all practical purposes. We can try to arrest it, but it's not going to reverse it. Who's responsible? Primarily the current president of Brazil, Jair Bolsonaro, who's a Trump clone, who's accelerated deforestation, illegal cutting of lumber for the benefit of his rich friends in the mining industry and the lumber industry and in agribusiness. Okay, we happen to have